It is a Thursday night, and I am a ScreamingWyvern. Welcome, I suppose, to 2026. So far, not impressed, but I suppose we take what we have. On the plus side, tonight I do have something fun planned. This is my Thursday solo role-playing game stream. If you're not familiar with the idea of Thursdays, then, you know, that's a whole different problem. But if you're not familiar with the idea of solo role-playing games, the idea is to give you a storytelling or role-playing experience without necessarily having a game master available. In this case, today we are going to be playing Xenobotanist, the first Flora by Slug People Games, and this is a journaling style game, which means that we're going to go through, we're going to set up some basic facts about our character, and then we're going to be prompted as we travel through the game with situations, and we have to decide based on what we know about our character how they would react, what would happen from there, and so on and so forth. I got in touch with Slug People Games. This is a 3-person company, as it were. Ree and Sam are a couple as of June, so congratulations to them. Apparently, during the pandemic, they were trying to be role-playing game influencers, which obviously is something I understand myself. And then they ended up making their own games along with Sam's brother Bob. I'm sorry, there's no good way to say Bob. You know, it's we have Sam, we have Ree. These are both kind of, you know, gentle sounding things that we can say. And then there's Bob, which is always going to be pronounced like a thud. And I do apologize for that, both to our Bob for tonight and other Bobs who may be entering, I don't know, the accidental Bob insult zone. I don't know what I've done with my evening. Before I embarrass myself any further, don't worry, it's going to keep happening. Let's go ahead and focus on our game. So I use Tabletop Simulator for a lot of my planning and prepping and streaming, because frankly, I don't have a tripod that can sit over my tabletop quite as stably as I would like. And if I did that, then you would all miss out on this beautiful face, which I've recently learned also belongs to an extremely talented gentleman who's been working with role-playing games for a long time, and actually seeing his face on TikTok was absolutely hysterical to me, because I had not expected to suddenly see myself with a different person's stream. I'm going to go ahead and quickly fix the text here so it's got just a little bit more. Background, no, we want outline. The outline size should be just a little bit bigger. Okay, still fairly light, but we'll make sure that people can see. Let's go ahead and yeah, you can go over me. That'll work perfectly for me. All I care about is people being able to see the web page. All right, we're going to go ahead and start off with introductions. Now, into 2026, I've decided that every time I do a stream, I'm going to prepare for it by putting together a introductory, actually from over my kitchen table. So I started with that. If you're here from that, hello. But let's go ahead and start from the beginning regardless. Xenobotanist, the first Flora, solo role-playing game with a 2-player variant by Slug People Games, using the Carta system. The Carta system is... I've played several games using the Carta system, and I absolutely adore it. So many props to the creator of Slug People. No, the creator of Slug People Game. Many congratulations to y'all parents. Not quite what I meant to say, but hey, it's nice to respect the parents sometimes. Oh dear. I think Cat is Leon McDonald now. So there you may notice a certain amount of appreciation for trans people here. That's definitely the intended style. A couple of other people who have made this possible. Animal childbirth, fire, ghosts and spirits, hurricane, volcanic eruptions. Pretty mild by some people's standards, but lovely having the ability to go ahead and pull out those situations. All right. The universe is a vast place. While there are more species to be discovered, the goal for your research is to find one of the 4 plant species that are currently thought to be the earliest living plants in the universe. Gathering additional samples and observations on these species will help piece together clues about other early life forms. So, each of these initial flora are going to be represented by the aces. The ace of clubs, no, you don't need to stack, thank you, is the glimmering goldenrod. In this case, it is literally a glowing plant. The liminal lilac tree is actually a plant life that lives between worlds. The primordial pebbleweed, the ace of hearts, is a soft blue glowing aquatic plant. And the amaranth is well, the amaranth is alive, apparently. Oh, well, active in the way that animals are. Typically found in dense shrubbery, it ensnares victims with its flowers. Approach with caution. I'm going to go ahead and set that one to the side because I like it. Xenobotanist, the first Flora, is a solo role-playing game, a solo journaling role-playing game. The goal is to find one of the first Flora. You will then bring back observational data and samples for analysis. You will need a standard deck of 54 playing cards, including jokers. We've got most of the cards here. We are asked to split out the aces for obvious reasons, and here's the jokers right there. Character sheet, I actually have that sitting on my desk right now, as along with the mission log. A game token to represent your spaceship. Okay, that's funny. I actually forgot to grab one of those. There is one that you can download with the game. Yeah, that will serve quite nicely. I suppose if I could get it... No, I'm not going to waste the entire evening trying to make the two stick together. So let's just go ahead and use the green triangle. Opening this back up. Additional game tokens to represent 3 kinds of resources, which I have down here, as well as some note cards to go ahead and keep track of those. A journal or other device, such as, for example, a streaming platform or a camera and microphone to record your journey. This is our ship. Got that over here, just in case I need it. All right, fill out your character sheet with your name, the name of your spaceship, and anything about your character's background that you want to record on your sheet. So let's see. I, as ever, will be using the extremely creative scientist name of ScreamingWyvern. And we're going to call our spaceship. I have been in kind of a Star Trek kick. So I'm going to go ahead and call this the LSS. Let's just go ahead and use my favorite word, Dawn, and to make it more spaceshipy, we'll call it the LSS Dawn Star. What does the L stand for? Well, I'm going to put down my species as the lizard people. Background, lizard. This really is a summary of how I'm doing right now, because I'd, instead of ever going outside, I'd like to be in a terranium on a nice big flat rock with a sun lamp. So that is where the desire to be a lizard man comes from. Begin the game by choosing one of the 4 aces. I've already done that. This is the plant that you will be searching for on your journey, and then remove the jokers and place them to one side. So the 3 other aces are going to go back. You can stack, friends. Okay, I'll go ahead and do it this way. And shuffle them in. We're going to go ahead and give this a few shuffles. And we're going to draw. Okay, I didn't actually mean to just have you cut that at random. Okay, no. You're supposed to ask me. Oh, no, there's a problem. Okay, let's try this one more time. This time with me able to see So one of these is supposed to be 23. There we go. That's the 28, so I'll go ahead and put those to the side. And now I flip this back over and I return it to the deck. Now I do need this entire thing. So that's our real deck. I am going to need some of this stuff out of the way. So I'm going to go ahead and take care of part of that right now. Okay, we are going to place the 24 cards face down in a 4x6 rectangular grid, 4 rows by 6 columns. So 1, 4 rows. 2, that's going to work out just fine. 3, if I move that out of the way. 4. So just go ahead and move the jokers. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. This looks absolutely horrific. I apologize for anyone watching this who has any sense of style or enjoys straight lines. Unfortunately, if you fit into that description, card games do not actually require you to have things in straight lines, so there is no punishment available to me in-game. Obviously, I'm on social media. There's plenty of punishments available to me. Okay. Beautiful. Let's see. Place each research outpost anywhere on the outside of the grid adjacent to at least one of the cards, but not right next to the other outpost. Let's go ahead and place one outpost right here, and the other outpost can go right here. There we go. And we'll go ahead and start from that outpost. Okay. Now, we're going to go ahead and take the other 28 cards. This is going to be our unknown deck. I'll go ahead and keep them on their side just to keep them separate from the rest of my cards, and there's plenty of room for a discard pile. Now, I am going to have 10 resources. Can I, It is very silly that I am drawing these this way. How many do I have right now? 5. Okay. Find the spaces denoting your resources. You start with 10 resources, which you can divide as you please, but it recommends for the first time to go with 6 fuel, 2 food, and 2 tech. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. If I'm going to use these, why don't I put them? Put the container right here. Okay. This game takes place over a series of turns. Each turn, you will move to an adjacent card on the grid in any directions. While you would have many resources in space, the only ones you will be tracking are fuel, food, and tech. You can choose to track these tokens through your character sheet and/or with game tokens. The game ends when either you run out of any of your 3 resources, or you find the ace of interest and make it back to your research outpost. Each move, except for your first move off the research outpost, requires 1 fuel. Once you land on a face-down card, flip it over and find its corresponding prompt in this rulebook. The prompts can give or take away resources. They may ask you to draw from the unknown or to describe a plant. If you land on a card that was previously visited, do not repeat the prompt. If you run out of cards in the unknown deck, reshuffle the deck from its discard pile. There are 2 additional actions you may choose to take. Whenever you land on a research outpost, you may spend 1 fuel to move to the other research outpost, or you can spend 1 tech to flip each card adjacent to your space, top, bottom, left, right, that hasn't been revealed. If it makes sense to the story, you can decide to gain or lose resources at any time, in addition to those gained or lost through the prompts. If in your travels you find one of the first floors other than the one you selected, gain 4 resources of your choice. These are found as long-dead fossil remains, not as living plants, but that doesn't make documenting them any less useful. Let's go ahead and open a couple of things to the side here. There we go. All right. Once your ace is revealed, you receive 4 resources of your choice and must then return to a research outpost. At this point, you can study the plant and write down something you learned about it. There's a couple of places you can get that information, and then you record the date and your major findings in the mission log. Whenever you are asked to describe a plant, draw a card from the unknown. The suit of the card corresponds to the type of plant you have found. The rank of the card indicates a specific feature of the plant. So I suppose I'll find that when I need it. I think it's at the end. Well, enough going through the rules. Let's go ahead and give it a run. So, our first move is free. I don't have to worry about spending fuel, and I'm going to end up on this card right here, which is a 5 of diamonds. Let's go ahead and pull up the prompt. 5 of diamonds. While hiking through a dense forest, you happen upon an abandoned river. If you wish, spend 1 fuel on a research expedition through the surrounding area. Describe a plant. I'm sorry, I think I said abandoned river. I'm actually reading abandoned rover. That actually makes the fuel situation make a lot more sense. It feels like the describe a plant is in this prompt separate from the abandoned rover, but I really feel like they should be connected. So if I want to find a plant, I need to go ahead and take the rover out for a spin so that I can quickly survey the area. Okay, so this is going to be our first. Oh, well, that is a highly specific plant. So as you remember, this is the primordial pebbleweeds. So this is a fossilized version of it. That has not changed. Let me make sure that... when you land on it... Okay, yeah, if you encounter one of the first flora, so it doesn't matter that this was describing a plant. I'm going to go ahead and put that up there because I don't want to shuffle back into the deck. And I get to go ahead and trade that in for 4 resources of my choice. So let's go ahead and give myself... one for each of them, and then the 4th one can just be an extra fuel. So that was a good start. That was an excellent start. Let's stay close to the research station for the moment and go down here, which is another ace. My goodness. The ace of diamonds is the liminal lilac tree. The earliest known tree emits a magenta light and phases between realities. It is typically found in liminal spaces like long, straight paths. Yeah, same as before. Let's go ahead and do one of each. And I guess we'll stick to fuel. Actually, I need to take that fuel away because I forgot that it takes fuel to make it a move. So we're going to do that. I swear if this is an ace, then I'm going to very, very carefully consider how well the shuffle mechanism works in Tabletop Simulator. Okay, it is a 2 of hearts. So if we go back here, hearts are conifer plants. And a 2 would be... Okay, so this is a plant which has... No, I am doing this completely wrong. Oh, I am so silly. Okay. No, this is a prompt. This is where we read a prompt. I got so confused by finding so many of the aces so quickly. On a particularly rocky planet, you encounter a species of superintelligent gravel. You find yourself having a conversation with it. What do you talk about? I think I'm going to go ahead and keep going with my joke about lizard people, and I think we're going to talk about sunlight, warmth. I have to say, my assumption would be that on a rocky planet like this, we'd probably very much have that whole, the baking and the basking would probably be something that these gravel creatures, this I think it's a hive mind. I don't think that, I'm talking to 100 different individual. I think I'm talking to one individual spread out over this gravel, which would allow it to move. But I think that it would probably enjoy, traveling to warm places or into the shade, depending on how the sun is at that precise moment. So while we are talking to them, and maybe they just, I tell them what I'm looking for, and then they just go ahead and give me some advice, and that brings us a fern, something kind of similar to a fern, which would normally be invisible, which definitely explains how I was able to find it. Since I had the help of my friendly, super intelligent gravel friends, they were able to introduce me to this fern that I would have had no way of finding on my own. There's a certain question of what the benefit of a invisible plant is. I mean, I suppose that it's bypassing photosynthesis somehow, because it just lets all the sunlight pass through. But we've already discussed that the initial flora, a lot of it is dimensionally unstable or dimensionally passing. So it's probably one of those kind of situations where it's pulling in the resources, not necessarily just from here, but from wherever else as well. I did get a resource for that, which I went ahead and put as food. And let's go ahead and spend a fuel and move on to our next location. Okay, I really do have to have some questions about the either the shuffling or my ability to put things down, but that's okay. Diamonds. This is the 4 of diamonds. You find yourself at the top of the mountain looking out over a vast sunset. What brought you here? This is a describe a plant moment, and I feel like in order to answer why I'm here on the mountain, I need to first figure out what I found. Okay, so spades. This is your flowering plant. which emits a noise. I don't think that the plant itself makes a noise. I think that the plant whistles when the wind blows through it. I think that at the top of the mountain, there's an entire range of these. And as the wind blows through them, it makes a melody that echoes off the mountain. So that's definitely what I'm doing here, is just sitting here and appreciating the sound of the wind blowing through these musical woodwind flowers. So because I found a new plant, that does give me another point, and just because I have 5 food, I'm going to go ahead and put that in tech for now. So let's go ahead and move on to our next spot, which is going to be another 4, this time of hearts. Apparently, on this sector, there is a museum. And I contribute a specimen to the museum exhibit. So I would say probably that would be that fossilized remain of one of the first flora. Which exhibit or collection do you like best? This is another describe a plant situation. I'm going to go ahead and quickly get the resource for describing a plant, but I think the question for me is going to be better. Why do I like this particular exhibit? A 10 of spades. All right. Spades. Spades. No, these are clubs. So on Monday or Tuesday, I can't remember which, I did go ahead and run a test, and I was playing solitaire as part of the test, and it took me 5 minutes to realize it, but I was playing backwards instead of, finding the aces and building up from there. I was finding the aces and building down, while at the same time, trying to build down on the actual stacks themselves. So that was not ending up anywhere close to a game of solitaire that I could win. So yes, clubs. This is a 10 of clubs. Well, I can definitely see why I'd be interested in this particular one. This is an airborne plant. This is a moss that lives in the air. Unfortunately, I'm not an expert in botany. I haven't been able to keep that many plants alive, if I'm going to be honest with myself. But I know that moss loves to be in damp areas. It also likes to feed on the wood or whatever it is that it's connected to. I would say that it's less that it lives in the air and more that on the planet it's from, the environment overall is damp enough that it can grow in the humidity. Because there is some kind of there's another plant which is, so it's there's moist air, warm moist air, which is keeping this woody plant able to float, as it were, like a stick on water. And then the moss grows on that. So it's not just a single unusual situation, it's actually a pair of unusual situations that are, well, the one is in a parasitic relationship with the other. But it does provide food for the fish creatures that inhabit this musty world. Okay. Let's go ahead and explore this part of space, which gives us a 9 of, and once again, these are called clubs. These are not called spades, because the spades look completely different. The 9 of clubs. Oh no. I'm enjoying a nice day off at a beach when a giant sea creature rises out of the depths. Does it writhe or scuttle towards you and the other tourists? What do you do? I think, damn it, Jim, I'm a botanist, not a biologist, is the correct thing to start with. A creature of limited intelligence is never going to approach a large group unless it's in a desperate situation. Since this is a beach that presumably has been a tourist area for a long time, I don't know exactly what season we're talking about here, but if we go ahead and work off the assumption that the beach has been open for a while and therefore the creature has had no need to come out until now, I would say that someone has disturbed its nest, its cave underwater or something like that. I think that the best thing to do under these circumstances would be to help clear the beach while it's rampaging, and then once the beach is clear, go on the water afterwards to try and find out sonar or lidar or something like that, where there is a cavern, and work to block that area off. I also think it's safe to say that whoever was in this area made an extremely poor decision, and we're probably looking at broken eggs and that sort of thing. So, you know, in addition to having harmed this creature in some material way, it's also been forced to attack. So if we can give it some quiet, it'll return to its nest, and then it'll, if we can just prevent anyone else from messing with it, probably just, we're in the future. I'm sure that we can have some kind of patrol boats that are silent, maybe providing buoys, but somehow making it unpleasant for the resident sentient intelligent life forms to go to that location. Okay, I need to go ahead and spend 2 fuel now, which means that I'm starting to run out of fuel quite quickly. 6 of diamonds. Now, if I zoom in on here, this is my player reference. Clubs are danger. Diamonds are some kind of planet, some kind of, Earth. Hearts are conversation, and spades are weird stuff. Okay, so the 6 of diamonds. Whenever you're doing a card game, it's a good idea to know what each suit is going to represent. 6 of diamonds. Oh, this is interesting. You enter a haunted forest. If you wish, draw a card from the unknown to summon a spirit, with hostility ranging from friendly to vengeful. So ace, 1, 2, 3, all these low numbers would be friendly, while at the end of the list, they're going to be dangerously unfriendly. I think I'm going to go ahead and skip this opportunity. I think that it is important to remember that I'm here for plant life, and the haunted, although theoretically the forest, the haunting of the forest could be related to the trees. That's not a guaranteed. It could just be the energies of this planet. It could be something about the life forms. There's just not enough call here, in my opinion, to call this related to my job. So I'm going to go ahead and not meet the haunted life forms in this particular situation. Okay, I am running low on fuel, so I need to hope for something fuel taking in this next one. Over here, 1, 2, 3. I may be stuck as a derelict. We'll just have to see. The King of Clubs.
This is the opposite of getting fuel. This is unfortunately losing food. The galley has flooded. Lose 1 food. How did this happen? He says, and then takes a sip of water. The galley is located right next to the engine room, and again, I myself am no scientist, but I do have a liquid-cooled computer, so one could theorize that the engine is using flowing water to serve as a cooling location. It's like, obviously we need some of the energy from the engine going outward, but we also need some of it converting into electricity. And in a lot of cases, at least, now, I'm specifically reminded of the game Satisfactory or Factorio, where everything ends up... Factorio is definitely the one I'm thinking of here, where everything ends up being some variant of a steam engine. So you start off with steam engines, you get coal and the coal engines, and that is basically a coal-powered steam engine. You get all the way up to nuclear reactors, and it's still basically a nuclear reactor that's creating a steam engine type output. So it could be that the water that we're using to produce the electricity, there was a lack of seal in the engine room. So, like, right here, technically there's a corridor here, but if we assume that the steam from the engine room was going out and then the galley is going to be kept cold, to, reasonably cold, because this is where you, in addition to wanting to eat, this is where the food is stored and prepped and all that sort of stuff. So, it would basically be a distiller. So that's really what we're dealing with here, is just the fact that there was something in the wrong place which got soaked by the water coming through. All right. Well, I said I was in a Star Trek mood, so let's go ahead and boldly go where no one has gone before. A 10 of diamonds. You come to a planet of sentient plants. What do you learn from them? Describe a plant. Okay. Just to make sure. I'm going to make sure that I haven't been cheating. I'm pretty sure that describe a plant. I am not completely positive where I got the idea that I was able to get a free resource every time I... That's comical. Yeah, I completely made that up. It must have been some kind of logic from, well, if we get 4 for the big ones, but that is not the case, and that's okay. All right. We are looking at another moss. It is highly toxic. What happens when you touch it? Maybe I shouldn't do that. I am going to take advantage of the fact that I decided at the beginning that I'm going to be a lizard creature, which means that I've got the extra skin, maybe even the potential molting skin. So when I attempt to touch it unprotected, it probably acts like an acid. Definitely my hand is going to be badly damaged afterwards. But hopefully I was able to. I'm assuming that I've got some kind of water pack that I'm bringing around with me. So I was able to go ahead and clean things off of myself to prevent it from causing too much damage. So definitely dealing with some excruciating pain for a little while. Definitely not the sort of thing that gives me resources. Okay, this is my last fuel. So let's see what a Jack of Clubs brings me. And unfortunately, it looks like this round is going to end with Screaming Wyvern, the lizard, being taken prisoner by pirates. The greenhouse on your spaceship has been ransacked. Lose 1 tech due to stolen equipment. Who or what could have done this? Do you confront them? And if so, what happens? It's not that big a ship. I'll go ahead and start off with, it's not that big a ship. So, whether I want to or not, I definitely end up confronting them. And that's how this lizard ends up losing his ship, which is going to drift in the ether for a long time. So yeah, let's go ahead, and that mission was not a success, unfortunately. So let's go ahead. Pick all of our cards back up. I've pulled out the ace that I was looking for, and I'm going to keep looking for that one. Actually, I could be doing this a lot easier. That's an autosave. First Flora. Let's just go ahead and load this. Beautiful. Okay. Gonna go ahead and put that there. I do need my cards again. Oop. Oop. Okay, so we'll go ahead and make this one the food. We will make this one the fuel. And this one the tech. So what we've learned is that I absolutely do not get to randomly make up rules where I get free resources. That's considered bad form as a general thing. And fuel is everything.
So let's go ahead and stick with its recommendation from before. We're going to have 2 food, 2 tech, and 6 fuel. One, two, three, four, five, 6. Beautiful. That's 10 total. Okay, go ahead and give this a shuffle. I'm keeping the ace of spades. That was my my dangerous man-eating plant. So that's the one I still want to focus on. So we'll go ahead and shuffle the rest of these in. There's our 23. All right. Let's give this another shot. D. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Give the jokers a moment. And here's our last row. Okay. Well, unfortunately, there does not seem to be a make more attractive. This time, they're going to be on opposite sides. Get our lovely green block. And our first step is always free. All right, 6 of spades. You find an abandoned... Okay, so this is a new Screaming Wyvern. The Dawnstar having been unfortunately lost. So how about this one is the RV for Research Vessel. This is going to be the Asimov. Which means the species obviously is going to be human because lots of places are going to have a concept of dawn and stars, but Asimovs are kind of unique. Okay, so you find an abandoned space station. As you walk around, you get the sense that it is haunted. If you wish, draw a card from the unknown to summon a spirit with hostility ranging from friendly to vengeful. let's go ahead and do it this time. 5 is fairly low. So it's not a hostile spirit. Obviously my biggest interest would be what I can do to free them from this haunted existence. The station is so close to my research station. I'm going to go ahead and use the logical prerogative. I'm going to go ahead and waste 2 fuel here to bring its cargo to my research station, because there's something that was meant to be researched that the space station inhabitants something as annoyingly simple as a piece of space junk tore apart some vital systems, leaving the crew dead with their research unfinished. So take it to the research station, let the other scientists, I'm going to assume that since there are 2 research stations, I'm not the only person on here. So free them from their, being unable to finish this research by bringing it to the station, because of course we have the teleport ability, so we can get stuff, they can get stuff back and forth for research purposes. And so that caused me to go back here, and then I'm back out here. Although, if I don't need fuel to get from here to here, I shouldn't need it to leave, so I'll go ahead and give myself one of those back. Let's keep going in this direction. King of Clubs. We've already run into that one, and I don't remember it being particularly pleasant. King of... Okay, this was the galley has flooded. So I don't think I need to come up with a new suggestion of how that worked. Basically, the heated water from the engine room, there was leakage, and it wasn't detected until a part of the galley had time to flood first. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, I'm not cheating, I promise. Okay, we'll go ahead and do our next move over there. Oh, this is what I was looking for. So right off the bat, I'm going to get 4 resources. I'm going to replace the 1 fuel, or the 1 food that I lost. So yeah, I mean that's what I'm looking for. I no longer need to do any more exploration, but let's go ahead, keep things interesting, and we'll at least try and go through these 3, see what their story is. A 7 of Hearts. Attend a space rock and roll concert. Entry fee is 1 tech, but it's worth it. Because while I am in the process of supposedly enjoying the music, I have stumbled across somehow I ended up with a specimen of pebbleweed. Some people go to concerts for the music, some go for the drugs. I apparently go for plant fossils. So, good on me. That pays for the tech. Let's go ahead and, just in case. So, yeah. We'll go down to this one, 7 of diamonds. You arrive at a world that is entirely underwater. What do you find there? This would have been a better place to have discovered the, the aquatic plant, but we experience, we don't judge. Oh my goodness. So this is going to be the glimmering goldenrod. So, based on the fact that we have a cavern growing plant involved, I'm going to treat this like, I'm going to treat this like one of those Lost World situations. So, the idea is you've got the hollow earth or whatever, on the inside. So this also ends up being a Dyson sphere where you have that's not quite right, because that one is definitely a full sun at the well, why couldn't it be? So despite it being an aquatic planet, the main life forms are not actually aquatic creatures. They're actually creatures that have advanced inside this hollow earth. I'm thinking that although we have the warm core keeping them comfortable, the seas themselves are dangerous and stormy, very much Camino from Star Wars, where it's a constant rain, huge things of water. And that's why we are able to find these fossils of the goldenrod, because that's basically formed the light source, the natural light sources for this underground realm, where instead of the concern being digging too deep, it's digging too high and causing massive floods and tidal waves to fall into our inner sphere. And by now they've figured out ways to create airlocks and safely get through there, but there must have been time when they had no idea what was going on in the outside world, and
trying to explore out of the caves probably led to many catastrophes. Okay, so it looks like our last exploration is okay. Interesting. All 7s. That's very silly, I think. You witness a tear in the space-time continuum and see a vision of a possible future. So if I had or will go here, I would come across a walking plant. But I don't think that that's overly important right now. And I'm just going to go ahead and bring this home. So let's go ahead and track the mission log. Now, the mission log has scientist date and species. I'm going to go ahead and obviously these are both 1826. And we're going to go ahead and say that the scientist kidnapped by pirates for our first mission. Or hopefully not kidnapped, but initially shanghaied, obviously, but maybe they came to appreciate their new piratical life. And this scientist successfully found amaranth samples. So what have we learned about our amaranth samples? We're going to go ahead and treat this as though we had found a plant. Click, 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 click. Many leaf shapes. What? So this one plant, and of course, as you may remember, the plant is aggressive. It attacks and eats with its flowers. So I'm sorry, but all I can think of is the Audrey 2. I really think that the various leaf shapes are forming an Audrey 2. So it's got the vines that it can use for basic locomotion. It's got the flowers and leaves formed into big old chomping bit, as it were. So large blood eating flower with multiple leaves. So there we have it. There's our display for today. And with that, with only a half hour scheduled to go, I think that was a lovely way to pass the evening. Next time, however, actually, next time this will work absolutely perfectly because we will be playing a spin-off game of the first Flora, Rise of the Vines, where there is going to be a dangerous plant life that is trying to escape from the greenhouse. And now that we've established that I have a lovely sample of one of the earliest primordial man-eating plants, that goes together well. So that won't be next Thursday. Next Thursday, I'm actually volunteering, but the week after that, I will be back. So keep an eye on youtube.com/@goldenwyvern or twitch.tv/ why did I say golden? ScreamingWyvern. youtube.com/@ScreamingWyvern or twitch.tv/ScreamingWyvern for our next solo role-playing adventure. Many thanks to Slug People Games for making this beautiful game. I would like to remind that I do not play these games. I do not get funding to play these games. I buy these games and I play them on here and show them off because I like them. So any opinions displayed are purely mine, and that opinion is that you should go to slugpeoplegames.com and you should buy every single one of their games because they deserve it. And until then, I hope the year goes brighter for everyone. And remember to be one of the good ones, because especially right now, there are way too many of the bad. And with that being said, I'll see you next time. Good night.